You know, it's always satisfying when you get to the point in life when you realize there's one thing you can now do very well. And it's pretty darn impressive when you have the opportunity to meet someone who does not just one or two, but three things and does them all well. Let's head out to New York State and meet a gentleman who's a modeler, a photographer, and an author.
In the world of model railroading, Lou Sassy is somewhat of a Renaissance man. He does almost everything, and he does it all well. Lou is a photographer who's taken pictures of a variety of layouts for modeling magazines. He's an author of a number of how-to books for model railroad enthusiasts. And he is a longtime modeler himself.
Well, it all started in the late 40s when my father gave my brother and I a Lionel train set for Christmas. And for about 8 or 9 years, I played with a Lionel set and added to it over the years until around 1958, I believe it was December of '58, I picked up an issue of Model Railroader magazine. And in that issue, I saw some scale model HO trains that really impressed me, the photographs and the realism of the models. So I changed over to HO after that, and I've been in that scale ever since. I started shooting photographs back in the late 70s. The first photographs I took of a model railroad were actually on a diorama that I had here at the house, and I won the Dremel Kit Bashing Award for it. Shortly after that, in the early 80s, I started doing photo shoots for Model Railroader, and just kind of steamrolled after I first started with a photo shoot or two to the point where I was freelancing for them on a regular basis, shooting many model railroads all over the country. Well, I started doing books back in the early 90s, and I've done 2 so far. One on an HO layout that grows, and another on scenery for model railroads. And I'm presently working on another edition which will be super detailing scenery for model railroads.
As you can clearly see, Lou's talent and expertise are evident, developed over many years. Lou Sassy has been working on his own layout for more than a quarter of a century. It is, and always has been, a work in progress. And what a work it is. So realistic that it pulls you back into its 1950s time frame. His HO scale West Hoosick division runs between Massachusetts and Vermont. It's a bridge line owned and operated by the prototype Boston and Maine Railroad in northwestern Massachusetts and southeastern New York. It's extended to Bennington, Vermont, where it interchanges with another popular New England railroad, the Rutland. Lou's layout evolved as his expertise grew. It became more and more realistic. Gone were the days of freewheeling and freelancing, where his primary goal was to loosely capture the feel of New England railroading. Now, it's a replica of reality. It has symmetry. It flows.
By focusing on a particular prototype, you have a family appearance to the locomotives. You can do research and find out what specific cars ran on the railroad. You can research the structures around the railroad, the scenery around the railroad, and you can base the model on reality. A few of the favorite features or locations on the layout are, a couple of them in particular, are the large trestle at Saul Hill. And I think that's a favorite because it took me so long to build the thing, and there was so much involved in the construction of it. There's 3,000 nut bolt and washer castings on the trestle. Well, the Hoosick Tunnel West Portal area is one of my favorite spots because it was a model of. It was given to me by a group of modelers in Massachusetts who actually made a model of the west portal of the real Hoosick Tunnel. And the other version of that one is on display at the Heritage Park Museum in North Adams, Massachusetts. Back in 1996, when there was a commercial video done on the layout, I finished all of the scenery. And since that time, I've added a closing loop, an unscenic closing loop, which allows me to run through trains. So in the future, actually, I'm just planning on adding a few more buildings, scratch-built structures to the layout, and just operating it on a regular basis.
Lou's books usually offer advice on simple techniques you can use to make realistic scenery for a layout of any size or scale. step-by-step instructions for building a complete layout. It's pretty obvious he knows what he's writing about, but some of his most valuable advice is basic. Be willing to accept help from friends, and always remember, enjoy what you're doing.
I've known a lot of modelers who take a great deal of pride in knowing that the railroad or the model railroad is all of their work, that they've done everything. But myself, I get a great deal of pride in knowing that I've had a lot of talented people, friends that I've made over the years through my photography work with Kalmbach and people I've met in the hobby, and that making my layout kind of a showcase for not only my work but their work brings me a great deal of satisfaction and pride. For people getting into the hobby, I would say that my feelings are that you should probably bear in mind that it is a hobby, and as such it's something that you should enjoy. No matter what you do, enjoy it. Have a good time. Use it as a source of relaxation. Don't take yourself or it too seriously, and I think you'll have a lot of fun at it.
Lou Sassy is testament to both the possibilities and the pleasures that come with knowing how to do something well. And he's proof that the route to excellence can be full of enjoyable experiences.